Metal Jesus Rocks is one of the most popular retro YouTubers. He has over 500,000 subscribers and access to the best collections on the West Coast. His videos range from hidden gems to how to play your retro video game consoles in HD. But one thing that people tend to gripe about is how Metal Jesus drives up the prices of the games he does videos on. Video game collecting is no longer a niche hobby, so there are tons of people looking to get into video game collecting and they want to start out with the good games. I'm Super Nicktendo and this is the latest episode of Retronomics, a series where I discuss the economics of retro video games. There's no doubt that Metal Jesus brings awareness to otherwise unknown games. I had no idea that Kim Possible would be any good on the PlayStation 2, but it's in my collection because of Metal Jesus. Also, he's a pretty big influencer. Remember that HDMI mod for the GameCube? After his video went public, it crashed the site, and I'm pretty sure he killed the company after his other video stating that the mod had nuked his GameCube was released. So how does Metal Jesus affect video game prices? Do the prices go up? Do they go down? Or do they stay the same? I've been researching his videos for the past couple of months to find out. With 265 games, I think I might have enough data to determine if there's an impact. I recorded the price from pricecharting.com the month before he posted the video, the month during the video was released, and the month after. The reason for this is because YouTube videos have a lifespan of about 72 hours in YouTube's algorithm, then they aren't called again until somebody searches for them. Also, it's kind of dumb to blame a 5-year-old video for directly affecting prices today. I also noted the current price of each game as well. Game prices were recorded for complete copies of games, except cartridge games where loose are more common, like the Nintendo 64 or the Nintendo Entertainment System. For a more detailed analysis of the data, you can visit smashjt.com, where I've outlined the prices and changes for each video I've researched, and I'll leave a link down below. So before I get into the actual analysis, here are some problems that I ran into. The data isn't 100% accurate. One big issue during my research was that I found the price of Soldier Blade for the TurboGrafx 16 increased by 822%. However, that price has remained consistent for the past 3 years, so I just threw that increase out. Also, not all data is available on pricecharting.com. Japanese games aren't available, so Metal Jesus' WonderSwan video was not added to the data. Also, the data is not very concise. Price charting takes the month's averages and then plops them down into one number. I did correct for this by researching 24 videos over the past 5 years. So we'll get into the long-term data in just a moment, but let's take a look at the Hidden Gems video that he posted on May 11th. Metal Jesus and Radical Reggie showcased 11 PS2 hidden gems. The PS2 library is pretty huge, so there's bound to be games that I've never even heard of. So for this pricing research, I looked at price charting and sold CIB listings on eBay. And it looks like Metal Jesus had an immediate effect on how fast these games were sold. Before the video, there was maybe 1 or 2 copies sold a day, and then compare that to after the video, there was about 25 sold in the past 72 hours. So how does that affect the price? Well, most of the games sold were at or around what price charting had them listed, and then there were a handful that sold for 3 or 4 times as much. So take Lifeline for example. Price charting had it listed as $9.90 complete, and then there was one that sold with a bid for $59.99, even though there was a buy it now for $39.01, which got snatched up as well. However, this guy is selling another Lifeline for $44.01, and he also has Endgame, which was listed on the same video. He also sold 2 more copies of Lifeline and a copy of Spy Fiction on May 12th. That's pretty convenient for him. These games were trending at fairly low prices before the video was posted and selling fairly consistent, but then after the video was posted, there was a mad dash to scoop up the games before the price perceivably went up. You also have to take into account that the PS2 is pretty popular at the moment with retro collectors. The system is now 18 years old, and there are some people who grew up with the system and now want to buy the games they wish they had when they were kids. But I do find it hard to believe that a game like Shocks for the PlayStation 2 will keep selling for $25 over the next 6 months. But time will tell, and I'll have a follow-up video on this topic in 6 months. But my theory is that some people are just looking to capitalize on the temporary popularity of this video, and they're snatching up the games at low prices and then turning around and flipping them for larger sums of money. So we got the short term down, what about the long term? I did research his games over the past 5 years, so here's what I found out. Out of 266, 16 didn't have pricing available, and 1 had erroneous data, so that didn't count. Out of 248 games that did have pricing available, 61 games had no change, 74 games had a negative change, 57 increased 1 to 10%, 34 games rose 11 to 29%, and 22 games rose 30% or higher, with only 3 of those rising over 100%. So the TurboGrafx videos had more games percentage-wise that rose more than 30%. 23 of the TurboGrafx 16 games rose more than 30%, where only 8 of the total PS2 games rose more than 30%. Now there's a lot more factors in play here. The PS2 is still relatively inexpensive to collect for, and like I mentioned before, TurboGrafx 16 is fairly expensive, but in those videos, prices either stayed the same or they increased over 30. Only 3 games rose 1 to 29%. But on the other hand, Metal Jesus couldn't resurrect the Wii U. He did a Wii U Hidden Gems video just last year, and only 3 of those 15 games increased in price. The rest dropped in price. And looking at the price now, all but 1 has had a price drop even further. The Atari Lynx did a little bit better, but the average price increases were congruent with the rest of the systems covered by Metal Jesus. Ultimately, I think it's unfair to say that Metal Jesus is the sole reason for video game prices being so high. Like he said in his tweet to me, he's not the only one doing hidden gem videos. I think like any influencer, Metal Jesus provides content to his fans, and then after that he doesn't have any control over their behavior. Does his videos cause spikes in prices? Yes, absolutely. But I think given the data, he's not responsible for the prices in the long term. When a hidden gem video comes out, I think that there's a psychological rush that comes over certain people who feel that video games are an investment and want to snatch up these games before they get too high, even though they end up overpaying in the long run. Also, there's some predatory flipper tactics in play here, as I referenced before. Also, I think that there are some people in the collecting scene that just have more money than patience. Personally, Metal Jesus has never prompted me to buy a game that I didn't want to have in my collection. Also, given the current amount of sales compared to the views of the video, only a small percentage of people are purchasing these titles. So what did you think? Did I change your opinion on how Metal Jesus affects the retro video game prices? And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, consider subscribing for future content. I'm planning on doing more videos like this one, so you want to be notified when I post it. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nicktendo, and I'll see you next time.